Dateline, Escambia County, Florida. Authorities and residents are still grappling with one of the most disturbing crimes in recent Florida memory. Two children, ages 9 and 7, were found dead inside a burning mobile home, a fire that, according to investigators, was deliberately set to conceal a far greater horror. Police say 27-year-old John Henry Walston Jr. sexually assaulted one of the victims, then murdered both before setting the residence on fire. The incident occurred early Friday morning at the Grand Oak Mobile Home Park. The children's mother, in a desperate act of love, ran into the burning trailer attempting to save them, but she was pulled out by neighbors and first responders with severe burns. She survived, her two sons did not. Sheriff Chip Simmons stated plainly, "These children were not killed because of the fire. Walston assaulted one, then killed them both before saving himself." It was a chilling confirmation that what initially appeared to be a domestic tragedy was, in fact, a calculated act of violence. The scene itself tells a painful story. A modest trailer home destroyed by flames, toys scattered near the ashes, a community still in disbelief. In places like Grand Oak, neighbors know one another. Families share barbecues, children play in the same yards. That's what makes this case so difficult to process. The alleged killer lived among them. Walston was not an outsider. He lived there with his own partner and children. He was known to the victim's family. In fact, the father, Tyler Smith, said he had known him for a couple of years. His two sons, Vaden Oram, age 9, and Raiden Smith, age 7, were reportedly staying overnight at Walston's trailer with his children. What could be more ordinary? Two families close enough to trust one another with their kids. Yet that trust, police say, became the very opportunity that enabled this crime. So the question that inevitably follows is, how does a seemingly ordinary man become capable of such brutality? And more importantly, could anyone have seen it coming? Criminologists often note that acts like this do not erupt from nowhere. They are the result of deep psychological disturbance, unresolved violence, or a deviant sexual impulse that eventually finds an outlet. But in cases like Walston's, there are few outward signs. Neighbors saw a man, a father, a member of the same community. No one saw a killer. Could there have been warning signs? Strange behavior, aggression, sudden mood swings, isolation? Possibly, but as is often the case, those around him likely explained them away as stress, fatigue, or personal issues. In hindsight, everyone searches for clues. In reality, such crimes often unfold in silence. From a psychological perspective. This case combines two elements that make it particularly horrific: sexual deviance and familial betrayal. The sexual assault of a child suggests a deep predatory disorder, one that is impulsive but also calculated. The subsequent killings, however, indicate an attempt to silence witnesses, to control the aftermath, and to erase the evidence through fire. So what does that tell us about the perpetrator's mindset? He was not acting in blind rage. This was not a heat-of-the-moment argument. It was deliberate, an act of domination and concealment. By setting fire to the trailer, Walston tried to destroy physical proof and rewrite the narrative into one of accidental death. But the truth survived the flames. When Sheriff Simmons said he saved himself, he underscored something critical: self-preservation over conscience. Even after assaulting and killing children, he knew his priority was not confession, not remorse, but escape. That is the psychology of control, the belief that one can commit unspeakable acts and still manipulate the outcome. Emotional fallout in Escambia County has been immense. The victim's father, Tyler Smith, expressed both anguish and fury when speaking to reporters. "How can you expect any human being to do this? John, I hope they give you hell in prison, because you better be glad they found you before I did." His words capture the sense of betrayal that defines this tragedy. It is one thing to lose children. It is another to lose them at the hands of someone you trusted. The victim's grandmother, Lisa Pinniger, described the moment she learned the news from another sibling. He said, Mommy has been life-flighted to the hospital. My brother and sister are no longer here. I didn't want to believe it. The grandmother's disbelief reflects what many in the community are feeling, that this crime defies logic, morality, even humanity itself. Asterisk. The sheriff's office has since emphasized the need for mental health awareness and vigilance within communities. Please hug your children. Sheriff Simmons said in a closing message, a statement that resonated far beyond Escambia County. What did he mean by that? On one level, it's an emotional appeal, a call to cherish life. On another, it's an acknowledgement of how fragile safety can be, even in familiar environments. If a parent cannot trust a neighbor, a friend, then where does trust begin and end? Asterisk. Walston faces multiple charges, 2 counts of premeditated murder, 1 count of sexual assault on a victim under 12, and 1 count of arson. He remains held without bond, with a court appearance scheduled for November 26th. If convicted, he will likely face the harshest penalties under Florida law. But beyond the courtroom, the case raises larger social and psychological questions. Can society ever identify potential offenders before they act? Should background checks or community safety measures extend beyond employment and into social life? Or does that risk turning communities into surveillance zones, eroding the trust that binds neighbors together? There are no simple answers. What we can say is that this case highlights a tragic paradox. We depend on social trust to raise children safely. Yet it is that very trust that predators exploit. Asterisk. As analysts, we can dissect the motives, the timeline, and the legal implications. But at its core, this story remains a human tragedy, one that forces every parent, every community member to ask themselves uncomfortable questions about vigilance, trust, and evil. What turns a neighbor into a killer? What makes a man capable of betraying both morality and innocence in a single night? Perhaps we will never fully know. But as the fire's ashes cool, one truth remains. Evil does not always come from the outside. Sometimes it grows quietly next door. And maybe that is why the sheriff's final words struck so many people. Please hug your children. 'Cause in a world capable of this, that simple act might be the only defense we have left.